Chris Burek, I've been a resident from the Borough of Slatington for 20 years and coming to the meetings just as long. And I do need to address this Sunshine Act violation. It's not just a matter of violating the act, it's the total disrespect that has not only been shown towards residents, but towards this law. And the thing that's being missed, the thing that nobody's discussing, is when you've had committee meetings lately, people who are not part of that committee are showing up and participating in the deliberations of the topic at hand. It's happened several times. You have 4 council people in one room discussing a topic. You have a council meeting. You don't have a committee meeting. And it's taken place several times. And I don't know where you get the idea that Section 701 of the Sunshine Act is just to be blown off. The disrespect of law was taken to task recently in Kentucky, where a woman thought that she was above the Supreme Court and stood her ground and said no. And a judge said, yeah, you're going to jail for 5 days. And he released her on the condition that when she goes back to do her job, she's going to do it abiding by the law. That's what these people are asking you to do. The Sunshine Act is here for our civil rights. You're violating our civil rights. We have the right under this law to speak at public meetings. You have the right to limit the time we speak, but you cannot ban us from speaking at public meetings. And if I find that there's going to be 4 council people at a committee meeting and they're going to be speaking, that is a council meeting, and you will allow people to speak, because then you're violating your own rule. The other question I have is, who made this decision? Nobody has stepped forward. Nobody's had the courage to say, I made the decision. You look back at the meeting minutes for years. Like I said, I've been coming to these meetings for 20 years.
I'm just waving to the camera, thanks.
Who made the decision?
Who cares?
I care.
We all made it.
Why?
Because we are at a workshop meeting, trying to get work done, trying to get things in line for this meeting so we can move
Okay.
ahead and make decisions.
John?
We do not make any
You're
decisions.
on my 5 minutes now, please.
All right, but let me
Okay,
finish.
let's be polite,
Let me
let's
finish
show
my
respect.
statement. We do not make any decisions or motions at those workshop meetings.
No business is conducted.
No
But you
business.
have 4 people there, it's a quorum. You have 4 council people, it's a quorum. You could actually take a vote at that meeting.
But we
And
do
to
not, we
ban
never do.
people from, that's not the point. That is not the point.
That is the
4
point 100%.
people
We
makes
do
a
not take a
quorum.
vote and we do not make any decisions at
You
those
know,
meetings.
when you talked about the apartment inspection, you were very receptive to information I gave you as to where you can get a template for that ordinance.
If somebody has something
Exactly.
useful for us to do, we'll ask for it.
Exactly. But how do you ask if they're not allowed to offer? There's people here that have issues with, that came before council, and you send them to a committee meeting, and now you send them back here to a council meeting. This is ridiculous.
No, if we send them to a committee meeting, then they're invited at the committee meeting to speak.
It's not a matter of an invitation. This is an open, public meeting of a municipality. It's a violation of our civil rights.
It is not.
It is. You better read about Kentucky.
Let me back you up a minute. These meetings here, you are more than right. You are allowed to speak at these meetings. However, at workshop meetings, we are there to align things up and try to make decisions on things that we're going to bring to this meeting and see if it will pass. Now you look at this agenda when you sit down here at night and say, gee, I don't agree with this, you have the chance to get up and talk about that and say, I don't agree with this.
John, are you aware that in the Sunshine Act, the citizens have the right to object to anything that you're voting on in the course of a
We're the
vote?
7 people not put on to make the decisions for the community. How do we get any work done if we're gonna have the whole community in our workshop meeting telling us what
Because
to do?
that's your job. You're supposed to listen to the citizens.
Yes, listen to the citizens, but not interrupt all these meetings, workshop meetings. It's bad enough that this meeting goes on with this kind of nonsense.
This is nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Swearing at people is nonsense, or is that okay with you?
I never swore at you.
Did I say you? You did, and it seemed to be okay.
And at the same time,
You did, and it seemed to be
and at the same
okay.
time, this man is over there degrading my house.
I'm talking about
I mean,
swearing in a
I would
public
like to know
meeting.
where, well, I'm talking about that
Let's
nonsense.
keep it to
If
what,
that's not nonsense, I'd like to know what is.
I think it's time.
Chris, finish up, your time is up.
I'm telling you, you have violated the civil rights of people via the Sunshine Act.
We have not.
And every piece of business that has been conducted under those violations could be told to go back by the courts and redo it, and you could be fined
We have not done any business
Okay, end
under
of
those
sentence.
meetings. We have not conducted any business at those
No.
meetings.
Next up. Richard. Oh, sorry. State your name and address. State your name and address, please.
Good evening, good evening. I really don't have a complaint here, but I like to get an answer on what you think about it. I just received my quarterly water and sewerage bill, and it is excessive. And my second quarter bill was excessive too, but I discovered that under my washroom floor, I had a leak, a water leak, like going up to the commode on the first floor. And I assumed that that is the reason that I had an excessive water bill and sewerage bill. Now I got this bill for the third quarter, and it is really excessive. I live alone. I'm all by myself in a big house, and I'm very active. I spend a lot of time away from home because I have I have a lot of work to do. I volunteer. I'm Army retired, and I forgot how to say no when I retired, so I'm on call and I'm pretty busy. So I don't spend that much time at home. And on this quarter, of the third quarter, they say my meter indicated I used 35,000 gallons of water. That's 10,000 gallons a month, and I live alone. Well, I know I water my lawn, you know. Lately I've been watering in this hot weather. I take care of it. But for 39 or 35,000 gallons, I go down, I looked at my meter down in the cellar, and tell you the truth, I'm 84 years old. I lived all my life outside of a military service. And I have a feeling that water meter is as old as I am. I have a feeling that it is not not accurate. So, and another thing that on my water that is for the value of the bill, they say my sewerage, well, my water bill was $278 for the quarter. And my storage bill is $310. Well, the only reason I could see why the water usage would be excessive, in my book, would because I water the lawn. Well, if I water the lawn, that water does not go in the sewerage, that goes in the ground. So again, it seems odd that my sewerage bill would be as high as it is. I'd like an explanation on this, if possible.
Well, Richard, I can answer some of that. The meters, first of all, and you're a lifetime resident of Slatington, we all know, the meters were put in this, they're not as old as you, I can say. They didn't have meters when you were here, before you went in the military. If you remember, they charged by the water closet and by the spigot and so forth. Philly got meters in the 80s, I believe, the early 80s. Since then, we replaced them one other time. But, so they're not. But usually when a meter wears, what all the pros in the meter business tell you is that more water gets through than is actually being recorded. So if it's 35,000 gallons, you're probably more water is getting through than is actually recorded because the parts wear in the meter and they don't pick up. As far as your sewage and your water, your sewage is based on what goes through your water meter. So your water, whatever goes through your meter, even though you're watering your lawn or whatever, it's based, your sewage is based on the water meter reading. 35,000 gallons for you is excessive. I'm sure you're I'm sure you're lower minimum, right?
You know that I'm all alone and
Yeah, excessive. Without, we can look back at what you normally use, but I'm sure, Richard, you don't have that. But all you need, and I know this from my own experience, and everybody else pretty much says about it, all you need is a toilet flapper sticking or something, and a toilet running, and you can, that's usually the biggest cause that people don't know about.
No, I'm thinking it's running because since I had that leak down in the cellar, which I had repaired, I go down periodically and I look to see that real little spinner going around that little,
Right.
and it doesn't go at all. You know what I mean?
Since you fixed the leak, you checked and the spinner.
Well, I fixed the leak, what about this now?
Well, maybe, and I'm just guessing at this, but possibly that leak overlapped into the other quarter and you didn't realize it till you got this bill now. We've had that happen, where you can have a leak in one quarter, it gets red, you picked up on it, you thought, oh my goodness, I gotta do something, I fixed the leak, but then it comes into the next quarter before you get that bill and that reading.
Well, I know it's not leaking because when I go down and I check it, if not daily, I check it 2-3 times a week, when the water is not running, period, that I have nothing running, and that little low
Right, the triangle.
is not moving.
Yeah, well, that's good.
And I check it periodically,
Well, you probably,
and I know there is no water running.
I would say it probably was reflected in the quarter before, but we can go out and reread your meter to make sure they got an accurate meter. There's always that possibility that it was wrong.
Are you gonna check the meter?
Yeah, and we can take the meter out and do a percentage test on it to see how much is getting through and the accuracy of it. We'll do that, we can do that.
Because I talked to the plumbers and other people, you know, who know this, and they are it's impossible.
Yeah, no, that's,
And they actually 35,000 guys,
yeah,
it's alone and all by myself,
Yeah.
period.
that's excessive.
I don't have no wife or no
We'll,
children
Wayne-
or all that,
Wayne,
because I was in the army all my life, I never got married.
35 years.
Get away from
Wayne can
me.
see
All
to it.
alone.
35 years, right?
Huh?
Ain't enough liquor in the world to make that look good.
Give him your
35 years,
give him your
Richard, right?
information and he'll,
33 years.
33, I
Follow
thought
up.
it was 35, sorry. This might seem silly, Richard, but is there any possibility that anybody else is not, not being allowed, not you allowing it, but is there any possibility that somebody else is coming in and taking the water?
Tapping
Like
off
from a
your
garden
hose.
hose or something?
No, I lock everything up and
Like from a garden hose outside or something?
I have very good neighbors.
There's that
over
5-minute
here on-
limit.
I'm right over here
There's
on
that
130
5-minute
Cherry, and
Right.
we work together like a crime line.
Okay, it's just, I
We look out for each other.
have to ask, because
600.
The stranger things have happened.
No.